W.P.O.T. Halloween Special with your host, Wild Man Steve.
Happy Halloween, W.P.O.T. listeners. The Wild Man is with you, celebrating the Wiccan season, the Festival of Spirits and Demons. Dia dos Muertos, Halloween. We have once again made Halloween history, toking with the legends of horror. Turns out, old Frankenstein can't really handle his weed or a lighter. It was a little much for him. He kind of freaked out. He was running all over town, but we found him. We brought him home. All's well that ends well. But Halloween is also that time of year when we gather with friends and lovers. And we load a huge bowl of weed, bowls of candy, and we watch scary movies on the couch. And with that in mind, the Wild Man will now inspire you to do so when I share with you, the WPOT listeners, the Wild Man's top 10 scary movies of all times. Number 10, a trilogy of terror starring Karen Black in 3 separate roles, playing a blackmailed teacher, a jilted lover, and a lady who brings a crazy-ass voodoo doll home, and when the chain comes off the voodoo doll, it attacks and stabs your legs. Now, I know that doesn't seem very scary to the WPOT listeners out there, but as a little child in the 70s, let me tell you, it was scary! Number 9! 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, not a really good horror movie in my opinion, but very many people do think it is a great movie. I thought it was like horror mixed with Bugs Bunny cartoon sounds and effects. But there was one funny part when the guy in the audience watched Leatherface smack some dude who just walked in his house, and he screamed out, "You know, if Cuddy walked in my house, I'd do him the same." Number 8! Poltergeist, the 1982 blockbuster, where little Carol Ann Fielding got stuck in the TV. Her parents changed the channel, even called the cable operator, but could not get her out. Was it scary? I don't know. Poltergeist, is that scary? Believe me, when you didn't know what poltergeist meant and you walked into that theater, that movie was scary. Number 7! The Shining, the Stephen King horror classic, novel, and film that I watched on our first days of getting cable TV. That's right, Mom got cable, and I watched The Shining while I was in the bathtub. Big mistake, because the lady in the bathtub really messed me up for a long time. It wasn't even Jack Nicholson and his writing Jack is a dull boy over and over again. That lady in the bathtub messed me up for days. Number 6! The Sixth Sense. Of course, the horror classic starring Bruce Willis, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, about Haley Joel Osment and his ability to talk and see and help the dead. And then at the end of the movie, at the very end when it was all over, oh snap! Did you see how fat that kid got nowadays? Boom, he's huge. Number 5! Psycho. The classic Alfred Hitchcock thriller, the original OG slasher film that actually never showed any slashing. It was all done with camera tricks and angles where it looked as though the knife was penetrating the poor lady in the shower, but you never ever saw the blade cut skin ever, even though it was the first of its kind. It made people run into the aisles, vomit outside, leave the theaters screaming. It was the original slasher movie without slashing. Number 4! An American Werewolf in London, the perfect Halloween movie, a little bit funny, a lot scary, and with one hell of a werewolf. Now, you don't see much of the werewolf, but what you do see is quite indeed scary. Plus, it's got the Dr. Pepper guy. Who could miss that? Number 3! The Exorcist, the 1974 horror classic that shocked America and the world. It was the most horrifying, ghostly experience that anybody had ever encountered on film. There's rumors of people that made the movie being haunted by spirits and evil demons, and there's people who say they were possessed by just watching the movie back in the 70s. I've seen it. It was disturbing. The thing that disturbed America most, I think, is it was the very first film where parents learned to be afraid of their children! The Exorcist. Ugh. If you want to go hardcore, that's a scary movie. Number 2! Halloween, the movie about the night he came home. Michael Myers, people, from the John Carpenter horror classic Halloween. The movie that made Northern California look like Illinois by simply spreading some leaves everywhere. And on a very low-budget film still managed to give birth to one of Hollywood's most iconic horror figures, Michael Myers. And they did it by simply buying a costume mask of Captain Kirk, painting it white and cutting the eyes out. That's right. So remember, the next time you see Michael Myers, you are also seeing Captain Kirk. Beam me up, Scotty, because they're both right there for you. Halloween is the second most popular movie on the list because it's the movie that gave us both Jamie Lee Curtis and PJ Soles. PJ Soles, people, Rock and Roll High School. Number 1! The number 1 movie on this list is none other than George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. The monumental 60s feature that changed the game in horror movies forever. It took the classic zombie out of Egypt and out of the mummy wrappings and created a flesh-eating monster that both horrified and intrigued moviegoers around the world. The film challenged race issues, decency issues, the movie rating system, as it was banned in many states in the nation, yet endured to create a genre of prequels, sequels, and remakes. Dawn of the Dead, Afternoon of the Dead, The Walking Dead, all possible because of the vision of George A. Romero. Night of the Living Dead. And that is the top 10 scary movies of all time on the Wild Man's list. Now, if you think we missed something, or you think you know of a movie that's even scarier that we didn't mention, please comment down below. Let us know what we're not getting here. We'd like to know more. And then while you're there, like and subscribe so that we can keep the Halloween special coming to you every year down here in the halls of Zuma. The WPOT Halloween special for everyone to enjoy. And for my listeners, Happy Halloween.